What's up, guys? It's Kayla here.
And Emily, I'm a guest reader.
Let's read. Welcome back to our channel. Before we get started, click subscribe and turn on Kittens. Give me a huge thumbs up. So, as you saw, Emily is our guest.
Wait, what chapter?
It's a twist. She's not going to be reading the full thing. I'm going to point to a word, and then she's going to say the word. Okay, so today, since we finished all the chapters in Lemonade War, we are going to do Princess Katie's Kittens, and the title is Pixie at the Palace. So
This book is like a good book.
yeah, it's really cute, the pictures. Too bad you can't see them. I'm sorry. So here we go. Princess Katie's Kittens, Pixie at the Palace. Hang on. Okay, chapter 1.
The new arrivals.
The silver Rolls-Royce stopped outside Starlight Palace,
And Princess Katie of Tula
unfastened her seatbelt.
Thank you for picking me up, Mr. Bentley.
You're welcome, Princess. It's time for your homework now. Is it time for your homework now?
We don't get any today, so I'm going to go riding.
To go riding. Okay.
Princess Katie bumbled with excitement. Oops.
She loved horses and had her own pony.
Dappled gray mare named Misty. Katie visited
Misty every day. Even though being a princess meant that she was sometimes too busy to ride her.
Mr. Bentley held open the car door
As Katie picked up her school bag and climbed
out. A fluffy white personal cat was sitting on the stone steps that led up to the palace.
Hello, Crystal, said Katie, stretching
Out her hand.
Crystal stared back, twitched her whiskers,
Then stood up and walked away.
Katie sighed. She'd been trying to pet
Crystal ever since Crystal was a kitten. But
the royal cat was very picky about her.
friends, the only time she let Katie touch,
Her was if she was hungry.
I wish you were a cuddly cat, called.
Katie, I'd let you sleep on my bed.
Crystal kept walking, and Katie swallowed.
Her disappointment. Never mind.
At least Misty was always pleased to see her,
Even though the pony was too big to sleep.
in her bedroom, giggling at the thought.
Katie heard inside.
The silver gray kitten with black stripes peered.
Around the table, like his brother and sisters.
Were lying together in their basket. Silently,
She creeped toward them, doodling behind the.
No, dodging behind the trash.
No. Dooging behind the
Trash. When he was tortoiseshell, his sister turned
her head. Had she seen him? He stood very
still until she settled down, yawned lazily, and
closed her orange eyes, bunching his tiny body.
the kitten pounced and landed in the basket on
top of everyone. At once, his orange brother
sprang up, hissing in surprise. Claws drowned.
Got you, the kitten giggled.
Meow, the orange kitten cuffed him
Playfully. Jinx.
His sisters,
one black and white,
one gray and white, one pure white, and one tortoiseshell jumped up on his back.
The kitten squeaked with pleasure. He loved a good fight. Rolling around, he batted at everyone with his paws and tail.
The fun lasted forever until suddenly all the kittens ran out of energy. They flopped down in their basket, their tiny bodies squashed together so it was impossible to tell where one kitten ended and the next began. We're getting bigger, thought the silver gray kitten sleepily. Soon their mother would take them outside and teach them how to hunt. He could hardly wait. Mom told
them exciting stories about the great outdoors. She was an excellent hunter, which was lucky, since there was never enough to eat at home. Our owner, Mrs. Baxter, doesn't mean to let us go hungry, Mom told the kittens. She's old and doesn't have much money. Mom was hunting now. Each day she left the kittens alone for a little longer, preparing them for the day when they would be old enough to go out into the world by themselves. A door opened and Mrs. Baxter shuffled in, carrying a large box with black marks outside. Ears pricked. The kitten sat up. This looks interesting. Mrs. Baxter put the box on the floor and gave him a smile. Oh, little ones, have you just woken up?
slowly. She bent down and scratched the kitten behind his pixie-like ears. That was so good. Purring with delight, he rumbled his head against her knobbly fingers. Something wet splashed on his head. Ew! He didn't like that.
Indignantly, he shook it away. The wet stuff was leaning from Mrs. Baxter's eyes. Was she all right? The kitten had never seen that happen before. Mrs. Baxter sniffed, pulled the tissue from her pocket, and blew her nose loudly. I'm sorry. I wish I didn't have to do this. I can't afford to keep you, and I don't know where to go for help. I'll leave you somewhere safe. You'll be away from the road, but in a place where lots of people walk. Someone I'll find you. I'll give you to a better home than I can. The kitten was baffled. What did she mean? It sounded like she was sending him away, but he wasn't ready to go yet. And he hadn't said goodbye to Mom. He meowed in a process as Mrs. Baxter lifted him by the
Scarf of his neck, supported his bottom with her hand, and gently put him into the box. Sheets of newspaper lined the floor. It wasn't so cozy as the kitten's basket, and it rustled when he moved. But it was comfortable enough. Then he heard a frightening squeak. That was his black and white sister. The silver gray kitten jumped at the sides of the box, wanting to climb out and comfort her. Easy there! I'm not leaving you on your own. Mrs. Baxter lowered his four sisters and beside him followed him by his brother. What's going on? They squealed. It's all right. She's not going to hurt us. The kitten busied.
What? Let me see.
No, time. Busied beside himself, licking everyone like Mom did. Until they calmed down, suddenly the box began to wobble. Mrs.
Baxter grunted as she struggled to lift it. The kittens prickled their ears in alarm, but the silver gray kitten remembered what Mrs. Baxter had told him. She's taking us somewhere nice, he said confidently. They traveled in a car. The kitten knew about cars from Mom. She told him never
to run in front of them and not to fall asleep inside one either, because then you might get lost. Mrs. Baxter had put a lid on the box. It was dark, with only a few small holes to let in air. The kitten's green eyes winded as they adjusted to the gloom. He peered through a hole, but it wasn't big enough to see through. He sat up straight, ears pricked.
as he tried to follow the direction they were taking. But it was a bumpy ride and he got confused. Sighing softly, the kitten lay down with his brother and sisters. A long time later, the drive was over. As Mrs. Baxter lifted the box out of the car, the kitten's nose twitched with excitement. What was that delicious smell? It was the same scent that clung to Mom when she'd been out hunting. It tickled his nose and made him want to run and jump. Suddenly, he remembered what it was. It was the smell of great outdoors. It was the place Mom called the woods. The kitten purred with excitement. We're in a forest. He could hardly sit still. He wished Mrs. Baxter would hurry up. She was walking
slowly, and he couldn't wait to get out of the box and explored his new surroundings. At last, Mrs. Baxter stopped and carefully lowered the box to the ground, pulling back a corner of the lid. She pecked each kitten on the head. "Good luck," she whispered. The kitten rumbled his head against her hand. As he pulled away,
the door opened. No one leave.
"Good luck," she whispered. The kitten rumbled his head against her hand. As she pulled away, he glimpsed a tall tree shining above him. The lid closed suddenly. "Wait!" he cried in frustration. But all he could hear was Mrs. Baxter's footsteps. Saddened as he walked away, Angrily, the kitten wiped the side of the box. Was that it? Why had she brought them out of... Why had she brought them here if she wasn't going to let them out?
I'm hungry. When's Mom coming? Asked his brother. I'm hungry too, his sisters echoed. Mom wouldn't come. How could she? She wouldn't know where to find them. The kitten decided it was up to him to look after everyone. It was an exciting thought, but a scary one too. He stood tall, holding his tail straight behind him.
I'm in charge now. Scary one too. He stood tall, holding his tail up straight behind him. I'm in charge now. Let's get out of here. Then we'll look for something to eat. Reaching up, he tried to bat the lid open. He wasn't tall enough. He tried again, stretching up, leaning his front paws against the side of the box, and lifting his head to push it off. Still, he couldn't quite reach full of frustration. He bunched his tiny body and jumped at the lid. His head batted with a soft chunk. The kitten leaped against again and again until suddenly the lid lifted, letting in a breath of fresh air and a rich, woody smell that was so good. Feeling encouraged, he sprang out the lid like a tiny tiger, bracing his body for the bump. The lid of the box opened suddenly. Light and air flooded, and the kitten hurtled out. There was a surprise yelp. Then two soft hands caught him around his middle, sweeping him upward until he was face to face with a young girl. She was friendly and had green eyes and long blonde hair that fell across her shoulders. "Look!" she exclaimed, her mouth widened to smile. "A kitten!" "Okay, that's that's the end of the story. Thank you all for watching. Have a great day.